A German shepherd's bones pierced through its dull fur, chained to an oak like a forgotten ghost, a muddy puddle its only companion. A worker's voice cracked over the phone. "Hurry, now!" Could life still flicker in such a shattered shell? It was a hot April afternoon in Wilson County, the sun scorching the dry, cracked ground. The water meter guy, sweating in his faded uniform, tripped over a rusted chain half buried in the dirt near an abandoned lot. Tracing it to a gnarled oak, he found a German shepherd tethered there, ribs protruding, fur matted, eyes cloudy. He thought it was dead until a faint chest twitch proved otherwise. "Jesus," he muttered, grabbing his phone. "Wilson County Animal Control, come quick." Across town, Miranda Jenkins dumped her lukewarm coffee, snatched her keys and jumped into her old Ford. The radio crackled. "Abandoned property off Route 12, dog in bad shape." She sped off, dust trailing behind her. She'd seen plenty in her 6 years on the job. Starved strays, dumped litters, but something in the guy's voice told her this was different. The drive took 15 minutes, each mile heavier than the last. When she pulled up, the sight hit her like a punch. The shepherd lay crumpled in the shade, a skeleton draped in patchy fur. Miranda knelt beside it, her breath catching. Bones pressed against skin, sores wept around its neck where the chain had bitten in, and a muddy puddle nearby was the only sign of water. No food, no shelter, just a dog left to rot. "Oh, honey," she whispered, reaching out. She thought it was gone until she saw the shallow rise of its chest. "You're still fighting, aren't you?" She worked fast, hands steady despite the ache in her gut. The chain clinked as she unhooked it, rusted links crumbling in her grip. The dog was fragile as glass when she lifted it into her arms. 42 pounds, she guessed, half what a shepherd should weigh. Its head lolled against her shoulder and she swallowed hard, blinking back the sting in her eyes. "I've got you," she said, voice firm. "You're not dying today." A neighbor shuffled over, hands stuffed in his pockets. "Owner took off 3 weeks ago," he drawled, kicking at a rock. "Just left the damn thing. Ain't seen it move in days." Miranda shot him a look but said nothing, her focus on the bundle in her arms. She eased the dog into the truck, cranking the AC as she sped toward the Wilson County shelter. At the center, they named him Atlas, a nod to the strength it took to survive this long. Dr. Chen met her at the door, his face tightening as he took in the dog's state. "Severe malnutrition," he said, running gloved hands over Atlas's frame. "Dehydration, neck infections, heartworms. Body condition 1 out of 9. Miranda winced, watching as they hooked up an IV, the needle disappearing into thin skin. "Will he make it?" she asked, voice low. Chen shrugged. "If he's got any fight left, maybe." That night, the shelter's overnight tech, Sarah, stayed late. She wrapped Atlas in a heated blanket, the hum of the IV pump filling the quiet. "Come on, big guy," she murmured, adjusting the drip. "You're tougher than you look." No one bet on him surviving till morning. He was a ghost of a dog, all bones and faded fur lying still on the kennel floor. But as the clock ticked past midnight, Miranda stopped by on her way home, peering through the bars. Atlas's eyes, cloudy, dim, caught hers for a split second. A flicker of something, faint but stubborn, glowed there. She exhaled, gripping the doorframe. "Keep going, Atlas," she said softly. "You're not done yet." Miranda's pickup rumbled into the shelter lot just after 3, the afternoon sun still blazing overhead. Lily hopped out of the passenger seat, her ponytail bouncing as she clutched a backpack stuffed with crayons and animal books. At 10, she was a wiry little thing, barely 4 feet tall, with freckles dusting her nose and a grin that could melt anyone. She'd been tagging along to the Wilson County shelter since she could walk, sweeping kennels or tossing toys to the puppies. "Mom, can I see the new ones today?" she chirped, tugging at Miranda's sleeve as they headed inside. "Sure, kiddo," Miranda said, ruffling her hair. "But stay out of the medical wing, okay? It's a mess back there." Lily nodded, already distracted by the yips echoing down the hall. Miranda disappeared into the office, leaving her daughter to wander. But Lily's curiosity had other plans. She slipped past the staff-only sign, sneakers squeaking on the tile, until she stopped short at a kennel in the corner. A dog lay curled there, facing the wall, a heap of dull fur and sharp angles, too still for her liking. "Mum?" Lily called, tiptoeing closer. Miranda poked her head out, frowning. What'd I say about... Oh. She softened, stepping over. That's Atlas. Found him last week. Rough shape, sweetie. Lily's eyes widened as Miranda crouched beside her, voice dropping. Someone left him tied up. No food, no water. He's still figuring out if he wants to stick around. Lily stared, hands twisting the hem of her shirt. He looks so sad, she whispered. Can I stay with him? Miranda hesitated, then sighed. Fine, but don't bother him, all right? Lily nodded fast, dragging a plastic chair over and plopping down a foot from the bars. She rummaged in her bag, pulled out a worn copy of The Poky Little Puppy and started reading aloud. Once there were 5 little puppies. Her voice was clear, steady, cutting through the hum of the shelter. Atlas didn't budge, but halfway through Miranda noticed his ear twitch. Just once. She kept it to herself, watching from the doorway. Days turned into a routine. After school, Lily beelined for Atlas's kennel, armed with books or just her voice. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, she'd sing, soft and off-key, perched on her chair. The staff got used to it, some even lingered to listen. Atlas stayed stone still, eyes fixed on the wall, but Lily didn't care. He likes it, she told Miranda one evening, legs swinging. I can tell. He's just shy. Miranda smiled, unconvinced. If you say so, Bug. 2 weeks in, Atlas hit 49 pounds. A small win, Dr. Chen said. His sores were scabbing over and the ivy was gone, but he still shrank from noise, from touch. Lily wouldn't quit, though. One rainy afternoon, she plunked down beside Miranda at home, chin in her hands. Mum, he's not happy there. Too many dogs, too loud. Can we take him, please? Miranda rubbed her temples. Lily, he's a project. Meds, checkups. He's not a puppy you can just cuddle. But Lily's eyes, big, pleading, wore her down. I'll help. I promise. Miranda caved, striking a deal with Dr. Chen. 6 small meals a day, heartworm pills, weekly visits. That night, Lily turned the guest room into Atlas's sanctuary. Blankets piled high, a water bowl by the door. She knelt on the floor, smoothing the fabric. This is your spot now, she said, voice barely above a whisper. I'm going to be your friend, okay? In the kennel across town, Atlas lay quiet, unaware his life was about to shift again. The Jenkins house sat on a quiet stretch just outside Lebanon, Tennessee, a single story clabbered with peeling white paint and a backyard fringed by wild grass. Inside, Lily had claimed the old guest room for Atlas, turning it into a soft fortress of quilts and pillows. She'd even taped a hand-drawn sign to the door. Atlas's place, keep out unless you're nice. Miranda watched her daughter bustle around that first day, a bowl of kibble in one hand and a water jug in the other. Don't crowd him, Lil, she warned, leaning against the frame. He's not used to this yet. Lily nodded, setting the food a few feet from where Atlas lay, a dark lump against the wall, his nose tucked under his tail. She backed off, plopping onto the living room couch with a book about wolves. Hey, Atlas, she called softly, flipping pages. This one's got pictures, you'd like it. No response. Miranda peeked in an hour later and found the bowl untouched, Lily still reading aloud about pack leaders and moonlit hunts. Give him time, she told herself, though she wondered if he'd ever feel safe here. Days slipped by, and Lily settled into a rhythm. Mornings, she'd hum a tune, usually You Are My Sunshine, while refilling his water. Evenings, she'd sit cross-legged on the hardwood, a safe distance away, chatting about school or the stray cat she'd seen by the mailbox. Atlas didn't flinch at her voice anymore. One afternoon, Miranda caught him lifting his head mid-song, his ears swiveling toward Lily. Well, I'll be, she muttered, stirring spaghetti in the kitchen. Another day, she saw him sniff the kibble while Lily was still there, then take a tentative bite. He's warming up, Lily announced, beaming. Told you he'd like me. It wasn't fast, though. Atlas still hugged the walls, his steps slow and deliberate, like he expected the floor to give way. But the corner wasn't his only spot now. He'd stretch out near the window sometimes, letting sunlight spill over his patchy coat. Miranda noticed his ribs weren't as stark anymore. Dr. Chen's last checkup pegged him at 64 pounds. Heartworms under control, the vet had said, scribbling notes. Fur's growing back too. He's tougher than he looks. Lily begged to walk him, but Miranda held firm. Not yet. That leash spooked him bad once. Then came the storm. It rolled in late one night, thunder rattling the windows and lightning slashing the sky. Lily jolted awake, her bare feet hitting the floor as rain lashed the roof. She darted to Atlas's room, heart pounding. He wasn't in his nest of blankets. Instead, he stood trembling by the door, eyes wide and wild, a low whine escaping his throat. "Hey, hey," Lily said, dropping to her knees a few feet away. "It's just noise." "I'm right here." She kept her voice steady, even as a boom shook the house. Atlas flinched, his claws scraping the wood. For minutes they stayed like that, Lily whispering, Atlas quaking. Then, slowly, he took a step, then another. His nose brushed her outstretched hand, cold and damp, before he jerked back. Lily froze, barely breathing. "You're okay," she murmured. "See, it's me." He didn't come closer, but he didn't retreat either, just stood there, watching her through the dark. A crack of thunder sent him skittering, but not far. Lily's face split into a grin. "Mum!" she yelled, scrambling up. "He touched me!" "He's not scared anymore." Miranda stumbled in, bleary-eyed in her robe. "What's all the— Oh!" She saw Atlas, still tense, but closer than he'd ever been to anyone. "Guess he's got a soft spot for you," she said, a smile tugging at her lips. The storm faded, and Lily grabbed a leash the next day, coaxing Atlas into the yard. He balked at first, tugging against the strap, but she kept it short, just a loop around the oak out back. "Baby steps," she told him, sitting on the grass while he sniffed the air. By week's end, he'd pad a few yards with her, tail low but steady. One evening, Miranda found them on the porch. Lily sat humming, her voice weaving through the dusk, while Atlas sprawled beside her, eyes half closed. His coat gleamed a little now, thick patches filling in, and the sores were just scars. "Look at you two," Miranda said, leaning on the rail. Lily glanced up, resting a hand on his back. "He's home, Mum," she replied simply, and for the first time Miranda believed it. November draped in a thick, grey fog, the kind that swallowed fence lines and muffled sound. Lily tugged on her boots that Saturday afternoon, a leash dangling from her hand. "Come on, Atlas," she called, patting her thigh. He lumbered over from his spot by the heater, his gait steadier now, tail giving a faint wag. At 75 pounds he was a different dog, muscle filling out his frame, fur a glossy mix of black and tan. Miranda poked her head out from the kitchen, dish towel in hand. "Stay on the lane, Lil. Visibility's trash out there." "Got it, Mum," Lily chirped, clipping the leash to Atlas's collar. They stepped into the haze, the world shrinking to a few yards of gravel and damp air. She hummed as they walked, a habit he'd grown used to, his ears flicking at the tune. The lane stretched ahead, lined with bare trees and the occasional mailbox. It was quiet, too quiet, until Atlas stopped dead, mid-step. His head snapped up, ears rigid, eyes piercing the fog. Lily frowned, tugging lightly. "What's up, buddy?" A faint sound cut through the mist, a soft, ragged whimper. Atlas's nose twitched, and he pulled forward, gentle but firm. Okay," Lily said, following his lead. They veered off the path, gravel crunching underfoot, until she saw it, a small shape crumpled by the ditch. Tommy Grayson, the 8-year-old from 2 houses down, lay there, his bike tipped over beside him. His body jerked in tight, unnatural spasms, face pale against the dirt. "Tommy!" Lily gasped, dropping to her knees. She'd seen him ride by a dozen times, always waving. Now he was still, then twitching again. Atlas didn't hesitate. He nosed closer, pressing his snout to Tommy's limp hand, then looked back at Lily with a sharp, clear stare. "You're telling me to get help," she whispered, heart racing. She bolted upright, sprinting toward home, her voice breaking as she burst through the door. "Mum!" "Tommy's hurt. By the road. He's shaking bad." Miranda dropped the towel, grabbing her phone. "Stay here," she ordered, dialing 999 as she ran out, but Lily was already behind her, Atlas trotting at her side. Back at the ditch, Atlas lay down beside Tommy, his bulk a warm shield against the chill. The boy's spasms slowed, his breathing shallow but steady. Miranda knelt, relaying details to the operator. 8 years old, possible seizure, unconscious now. Sirens wailed in the distance, cutting through the fog as red lights pulsed closer. Paramedics swarmed in, lifting Tommy onto a stretcher. One glanced at Atlas, still pressed close. "That dog didn't leave him, huh?" he said. Miranda nodded, her throat tight. "Nope, kept him calm." Tommy's parents arrived at the hospital later, eyes red but grateful. "Docs say he's stable," his mum, Ellen, told Miranda in the waiting room. "If you hadn't found him when you did—" She trailed off, squeezing Lily's hand. "And that dog of yours?" "He's something else." Lily beamed, scratching Atlas's ears. "He knew before I did," she said proudly. Miranda watched them, a thought sparking. "He's got a knack for this," she murmured to herself. "Maybe more than we thought." Back home, Atlas shifted. He'd always been cautious, but that night he nudged his head onto Lily's lap while she sprawled on the couch, flipping through a comic. She giggled, stroking his fur. "You're my hero, you know that?" he huffed, settling closer. By December, Dr. Chen gave the all clear. No more heartworms, weight steady, scars faded to thin lines. Miranda started researching service dogs, training programs. "He's got instincts," she told Lily one morning over cereal. "Could help kids like Tommy. What do you think?" Lily's eyes lit up. "He'd be the best at it." The change wasn't just physical. Atlas slept by Lily's bed now, a soft shadow trailing her through the house. He'd perk up at her footsteps, tail thumping when she grabbed the leash. One crisp evening, they sat under the porch light, her arms looped around his neck. "You saved Tommy," she whispered, resting her forehead against his. "Your hero, Atlas." He leaned into her, eyes bright in the glow, a far cry from the hollow stare she'd first seen. Miranda watched from the window, arms crossed, a quiet pride settling in her chest. This dog, this survivor, was theirs, and he was starting to give back. Spring turned Atlas into something more. Miranda enlisted Carla, a trainer with a keen eye, to hone his gifts. "He's a natural," she said, tossing a treat as he nailed a cue, nudging her hand on command. Lily shadowed every session, shouting "sit" with a giggle, her braid bouncing as he plopped down. By summer, he aced spotting Carla's staged seizures, tapping her leg with a steady paw. Tommy's parents spread the tale of his rescue, and soon he was a fixture in the boys' yard, sprawled out while Tommy sketched him in a cape, dubbing him Captain Atlas. Miranda had a vision. She pitched Rescue Ripples at the shelter. A July bash with twangy guitar riffs, bright banners, and a photo wall tracing Atlas's arc from skeletal to sleek. The lot hummed as folks poured in, kids tugging parents to pet him. A hardware guy handed over a fat check for kennel upgrades. A councilwoman, voice firm, swore to push stricter abandonment laws. 2 wiry mutts got scooped up by families before dusk. Lily stepped to the mic, clutching a crumpled paper. "I just wanted to be his friend," she said, eyes shining. "He showed me you can come back strong." Cheers rose and Atlas thumped his tail, soaking it in. He took to his role, patrolling schoolyards, shadowing kids with epilepsy, his calm a balm. Neighbors started leaving bones on the porch, calling him our watchdog. One evening, Lily led him down the lane, sun sinking into a golden haze. At 80 pounds, his scars were mere shadows, his coat thick and glossy. They paused under an elm, and she dug a biscuit from her pocket. "For my hero," she said, laughing as he crunched it, crumbs dusting his snout. He nudged her hand, huffing, while light speared through the branches. Miranda leaned on the porch rail, watching, a quiet warmth in her chest. They'd mended each other, and lit up Lebanon along the way. Dusk crept in, stars pricking the sky. Lily sank to the grass, murmuring, "We did good, huh?" Atlas flopped beside her, head on her lap, the day's last glow bathing them. It was enough, simple, whole, and right.